My name's Jason Miller, founder of AAspennow Solutions, and we're about to unlock the power of ServiceNow. I'd like to start off by thanking all 2,318 subscribers in over 80 countries globally. If you believe in transferring knowledge to those who need it most, please click subscribe. Your user data will not be transferred to anyone outside of AAspennow without your consent. Okay, I'd like to start off today by noting that this is part 2 of the series on dashboards and performance analytics. I am working in a domain-separated environment, so I will point out the differences between working in a domain-separated environment when working with dashboards and PA versus working in a single-tenant instance. Okay, so one thing I wanted to mention also is that there are opportunities for guest stars on this network, and if you'd like to bring an idea to YouTube and post it on the channel, just go ahead and feel free to contact me. My contact information is right here in the About section, so you see my email address is right there. Also, if you want to click on this, it'll be the same email address, basically. And just to point out which video we're kind of sequeling here, it's this one. So it's this dashboards and PA. And let's go ahead and take a look at a dashboard. Okay, so here we are, and today's focus is going to be primarily on the interactive filters. So the first thing I want to note is that the domain that I'm in is top. So if I want to create a filter, I need to do it in the global domain scope. So you're going to see here I'm going to flip back and forth between top and global throughout this video in order to accomplish a couple of objectives here to show you how to actually create them. Again, if you're in a single tenant environment, you don't have to worry because you're only working in the global domain. All right, so in fact, I'm going to have a little bit of water here, excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at here is the created date. We'll see here that it has, I think it might have a default value. We'll just clear that out. And we'll see here the reports will actually adjust the numbers based on whatever we put in the filter here. So if I change the created date and I put the created date column in this report right here and then brought the widget over. Again, I showed you that in the last video, so you can go ahead and take a look at how to do that. Let's say I want to do last 3 months. Let's see here, there's only 2. And this number matches this, so what does that tell me? Probably that the conditions between these two are the same or they're similar. So down here we have another set. Looks like they're updating just fine. And then looks like here we don't have that sync. So what we want to do is if we ever see that reports are out of sync, we have to make sure this follow interactive filter is checked. And then also, I always check this one, show when following, because that way it'll kind of show you it's updating. I'll click done. Now immediately we're going to see it changes. So now, looks like we got to sync. Same thing for this report here. Boom, boom, done. It'll filter. Take just a second there for it to update. So we have all that. Okay, so you're probably saying, well, that's great. So how do I create my own? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. So there's 2 ways to do it. There's the way I do it, which is click on the pencil and then use insert and stay, but I'm going to show you the right way to do it because I do this stuff all the time and I move very quickly. So I'm just going to kind of take you through the motions here. So here we have our interactive filters table. This is sys UI HP publisher. We can also get there by typing in E space filter, and then you have your interactive filters pop up. And then if we were to go into our created date, which is what I'll do, if I want to basically use the same type of field and I think that my filters and my default value are all going to line up the same, I'll just do the insert and stay function, which is located right here at the hamburger menu. So I'm going to change now to the global domain scope. While that's refreshing, I'll have some more water. Okay, it looks like we're in global. Fantastic. We still have a related list here for the interactive filter dates. Oh, maybe it now just refreshed. Okay, sorry about that. So it looks like we have this running off of two tables. Also, notice one thing here. You see how you see new? Now this is going to be a clue for us. If I change the top, we'll see here, there is no new button. So that's a clue right there that, hey, maybe we're in the wrong domain. But again, if you're in a single tenant instance, no big deal. You won't have to worry about that. So now if I change it back to global, I'll filter down to the list in just a second. All right, so we have our interactive filter dates right here, new button. So first I'm going to change the name of this. I'm going to do underscore updated. Sometimes I'll do underscore if I'm making a bunch of these because, yeah, it's tough to find them later on if they all have the same name. It's kind of like trying to find form sections because they're almost always the same name for whatever reason. So let's do an insert and stay. And nope, global domain. Okay. Now, one thing we don't have here is our dates. So we need to put them in. We need to add, I believe we had one from task. Make sure there are a million tables with the word task in it. Okay, now I'm going to find the updated date. One thing I don't like about this is that since we're doing or making a relationship to an interactive filter, I think that what it should do is because it's filtered based on date, that in this field list here, well, I would like to see that they only show date fields. I think they do that with reference fields, where they only show the reference fields that are available. So either date or date time. I don't know. Well, I guess date here. So maybe someone from ServiceNow is watching. I'll say, you know what? That's a decent idea. All right. So now let's go to sysapprover table. And here we go, updated. Now I'm going to do an insert, which will take me back to where I was before. Okay, great. So it looks like we have everything created here. We have our two dates here from the tables. So now we want to add it to the dashboard. Okay. So when you come in, you'll probably see it like this. Your dashboard is the entirety of it. But I'm so used to editing that I almost always click the plus, kind of like a knee-jerk reaction here. So let's go into our filters. We're going to find our date. Updated date pops to the top of the list. Hit add. Wonderful. Now I'll just size it up and I'll bring it down. Now, beauty of this is that the other reports, they're already linked up to the interactive filter. So now all I need to do is center it, because that's what I like to do. Now let's see here. Let's take that off. Now we have two date interactive filters here, so they're going to conflict. So my advice is, don't have too many of the same type on the same tab, because it might cause some conflict there. So I'm going to say adios to this guy. See ya. Great. Let's see if I do like last 6 months. Have I touched any of these records? Okay. So it looks like we have 3 down here. Everything's adjusting fine, so wonderful. That part is done. Now let's go over to choice. And what we're going to see with choice is that I've done radio buttons here based on priority. So here, let me close that up so that way. I just named this task priority radio button. And we'll see here as I change the radio button. And this would be one way to do it. You don't have to do radio buttons. In fact, I'm going to show you about 3 or 4 of these that I had created. So let's go to choice list. And I'll show you how to create 1 so that way, let's do checkboxes. What else do we want? We want the single. And we want the multiple. Fantastic. So let's just take a look. I know it's big, and here, let me size these up a little bit. And this is part of the art of it, is, you know, trying to lay this stuff out so that way it's pretty intuitive to the users. So might want to do like 2 or 3 of these things, depending on how big they are, 2 or 3 of these things. Again, they're not all going to be the same type, so you're not going to have, well, maybe we'll have several choices, but like with the dates, I'm not sure how many date filters you want to put on the same tab. So you want to think about, you know, the audience and who's looking at this stuff. It's all going to depend on, you know, what level they're at in the organization. At least that's what my experience tells me. Okay, so it looks like they're trying to follow both of these. So I'm going to say goodbye to this one. And now we're going to have the priority ones just pop up because that's what's selected here. These are open to all of them. And this one here, sorry, that's priority. And you know what? I like centering them. So let's do that. Okay, so then if I want to, I can basically select here with the checkboxes, and it'll just add them, basically whatever records are contained in these reports. Someone had asked for like an incident report that categorized them, I don't know, maybe like by assignment group or something that shows like the total count that like an individual has. I just threw this thing together. If you want me to send you a copy of this report, that's fine. But basically, this is a multi-level pivot report. And this is kind of a quick way to, I don't know, like if you're running a help desk, or support desk, whatever we call them these days, and you want to see just like, you know, go down the line and see the aggregate numbers of who has what. This is a good way to do it too. You can also do it by group. And you know what, maybe I'll even sneak peek in there in a second. And then I did kind of like one of these, like, and I said, you know, MGR for the manager. Like, if you're a manager, you probably want to know, like, how many priority ones you have, you know, and on down the line. But I guess the point of this is that it'll group them together. If you want to ungroup them, you just click that arrow right there. And then I did kind of like this trend report here to say, okay, you know, what are the monthly tasks, and then how does it look, you know, in terms of priority and stuff like that. So if we want to get rid of one of these things, we're just going to click here, click there, it'll remove them. And then if we want to re-add them, just click again. So kind of nice little report. I like this one. Use that one a lot. So anyway, getting back to the interactive filters here, we just saw with the checkboxes what that looks like. Let's get rid of that. And now we're going to be left with, looks like this one's a single. Yeah, so if you just want them to be able to select one priority or whatever's in your choice box there, you would use this one. If you want them to be able to do multiple at one time, which is typically the case, you'll have 1 here, 3 here, so it stacks them up. In fact, we might want to even make this a little bit bigger because they stack them up. They're going to need some room here. So, okay, that looks fine. Now you're probably saying, how do I create one of these? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. And I'm going to just refresh my screen real quick because, all right, I want to make sure. Okay, so I'm in global now. Oh, one thing I want to show you too is, so now I'm in global here, but if we look here, it says top. Now watch what happens when I refresh the screen. Let's see if it plays nicely. No, it doesn't. Right, it's telling me, look, I can't find your dashboard. You know why? You're in the global scope. Now, they don't really have like a toggle domain scope from this screen. So again, if you're from ServiceNow and you're watching this, if there's a way to toggle the domain here, that would be helpful. So that way you could see like all the dashboards and all the domains. But basically, I'm going to switch back to top, and then the screen will refresh. Okay. Awesome. And something happened with my brightness. Okay, I'm going to try to make this brighter for you. Okay, so let's go and take a look at those filters now. And what domain am I on top, right? So I'm going to switch back to global here. That way there won't be a problem when I try to recreate these things. So now we have our choice lists, ones here and here. So let's just go take a look at, the multiple one, shall we? All right, so when you come in here, and you know what, maybe I'll even click new on one of these here. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new one. Dot do. Boom. So remember, table name plus do. Actually, it's not creating a new record. Oh, I know why. I have list in here. There we go. That's the name of the table. Sorry about that. Okay, so at this point, it's going to take me into the new record. So here we have our choice list, or excuse me, our filter based on drop down. We have choices in there. So now what we want to do, say, okay, that's fine. That's going to be the default value. And now what are we going to do? We're going to do underscore task bar priority. And a lot of times that's what you're going to want to do. Just copy off the ones that are out of the box. It's probably easiest just to get your feet wet and kind of see how they function. Maybe change like one or two things, and then do, you know, an insert and stay or something like that. So now what table do we want here? Well, looks like we're going off a task and the field name was priority. And see, we're selecting the table here. We don't have to go into the related list later on like we did with the dates. So just one thing to note there. Okay, task. Let's go find priority. All right. So now we can define an exclusion list, meaning crap we don't want in there. So I'm going to go down here and you know what? Look, if it's a priority 5, I'm just not doing it. Sorry, but like it's, you know, kind of like, why do we even have 4 priorities if you think about it? It's either important or it's not important in my book. But I know that most operations, they use 4. So that's fine too. Now, what's our default value going to be? I don't know. I kind of want to see the ones as a manager. And then after that, I'll worry about the rest. All right. Wonderful. I'm going to hit save. So that way we'll see what the record looks like afterwards. Like down here with the related lists and all that. Okay. Diagnostic results is the only tab here, so we don't have to worry about that for right now. I've also checked this box here to apply to all the tables in the hierarchy. We have this note that comes up to tell us, you know, it's going to include base, parent, child, sibling. Wonderful. Okay, and then if I was going to use database views and tables, whatever, I could do that too. Why not? Okay, so let's go add it to our dashboard. Oh no, we have to refresh here. But first I need to go to top. Sorry about that. Only ticker was like floating or something, but I don't know if you could, yeah, maybe like a separate screen so that way when you go tab to tab, it would just be like up there. And also, you know, like there's, so that's also something that'd be cool. Like whenever you hold down the command key or control and you click on one of these things, maybe a service catalog isn't a good example, but let's try, oh, I don't know, my approvals, for example. When you click on that, you're going to see like all your pickers go away. So again, if someone from ServiceNow is out there, if you could change it so that way it defaults to show like the nav bar and all that stuff when you do a control click. Now they're probably going to say to me, hey, here's the deal. You shouldn't be working in like 19 windows. But that's the way I work. So I'm going to go to our choice tab here. And the reason why you don't want to have too many windows open is because it will grind your PC or whatever you're on. I'm on a Mac. It'll grind your machine to a halt. So just saying, if you want to work real slow, that's one good way to do it. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this one. Now, go to eFilters. we're going to go find our choice list. It's right at the top here, and we're going to add it. Voila, we have a polished gem. Okay, maybe I want to center it, add coloring, and look, I have the color set up here, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to steal this out of here. I'm going to put it right there. And now what I'm going to do is, I think it's all F's. Let's hit done. Almost there. I forgot to center it, didn't I? There we go. Perfect. Okay, so there's our task by priority. And it works. Because that's the beauty of doing a dashboard. Once you throw in the reports, and of course you got to get through, you have to open each and every one of these. Maybe there's another way to do it, and I just don't know it, but maybe to make the default to follow the interactive filter. But yeah, I have to come in here and center it. It's also kind of a good thing though, but because like if I'm doing a dashboard that's got like 20, 30 reports over multiple tabs, then I always use a centering trick here to say, okay, I've touched this report, I updated these two things, and also the best thing about it is that from here I can see it's centered. So I know that I've already completed work on it and I can move on. Okay, so we've done a choice list. Now let's take a look at our references here. And so I think this might be that one. Let's clear this one, right? So let's go ahead and get rid of Florida dispatchers. Let's do all. Okay, there we go. So I think this is, yeah, monthly, the same one we were looking at previously in the choice tab there. Okay, so here I've got, and let's open this up, incident assignment group, multiple, and then we have incident, we have assignment group here. So now with this one, if I want to, I can do multiple. And I showed you the multiple versus single functionality, but I just want to show you that it works. So I'm going to type in AAspennow here. We'll see this changes. If I type in Florida dispatchers, boom, virtually no change it looks like, but looks like it's functioning correctly. All right, then here we have only the single option. So I'll show you the second way that I create interactive filters, especially if I want to piggyback off of one that's similar. I'm going to click on this little pencil here. And it's going to take me into the record. Okay, so here it is. Now, what else is a reference field on the on the task and incident table that I could use? Well, we do have people in groups, so maybe I'm going to use the sysuser table. Okay, great idea. So I'm going to put a little underscore in front of these, and then I'm going to change this to assign to. And I did incident assign to, but really it's assigned to because we're running it off the task table too. So let me get that out of there. Okay. Now I'm probably going to want to change this table to sysuser. That'd be good. Yeah, just remember when you're doing this stuff, just take it easy. There's no reason to rush into it. All right. Now I'm going to do insert and stay. Now I think I was in top on this one, so what I'm going to do is change to global. I'm going to add yet another one here because I don't think we're going to be able to add it down here. Yeah, see, there's no new button. Which kind of begs the question, why do they let you do it? All right, I think I have to do global first. Yeah, just reload it. That's fine. Reload. All right. I'm put yet one more underscore in front of here, here, insert and stay. And my apologies, this instance isn't the fastest. All right, let's see if we get our new button. There's our new button. Boom. Okay, so now we want one off a task. And you know, I probably don't even have to do incident since if I check that box to extend it on down. But I will anyway, just to show you insert and stay functionality here. All right, so I'm going to do save. And let me do, just in case you're doing incident out there, which it seems like 90% of the world is working on the incident table. All right, see here, it filters. Looks like it's filtered. No, it hasn't filtered just the reference fields, but okay, let's do insert here. And insert is kind of like submit. It's going to take us back to the record there. Okay, so it looks like we have our stuff here. We have our two references. Okay. Now, if we want to put in a default, we can do that too. See if I can find someone. It's not alphabetical, though, it appears. But if I just want to do one, I wonder if I can do name. First name starts with Jason. Let's see here. So you got 4 records. Yeah, this little device here will save us some pain in the future because it'll tell us how many records match that. But it doesn't look like it'll allow me to run it here, so not too useful. That's fine. We're not going to do a default value. Just want to show you that if you want to, you could plug in a name over here. It'll default to that. We can also use this to show us how many records that would match if we had a filter in here. Okay, so I think we're good. Let me just save it one more time. Now we want to go back out to our dashboard. So I'm going to go to the history right here, and I'm going to find our dashboard that I called interactive filter. Again, we get this error. If you're in a single tenant instance, it's so much easier because you don't have to be aware. All right, so let's go to our reference tab. Find interactive filters. We go to reference, and let's add it, shall we? Now let's see if I put in Jason Miami Miller. Does he have any? Looks like it's filtering correctly. Okay, excellent. So that is that. And then, so yeah, and I'll use this underscore trick a lot because if I have to do, I don't know, little variations of these things, but I want to keep them the same name for whatever purpose, it's just easier to find it. Then once you get it added here, click on the pencil, go and clear it out, so that way or you know that it's basically on the dashboard or the tab where you intended it to be, and it's not the incorrect one. So then I'll center it. Boom. Okay. Booleans. Booleans are pretty simple to understand. It's a true-false value. So you'll see here I have 2 types. I have either has breached, which I'm not even sure if has breached is going to function well with this, but let's try true. Yeah, it looks like, I don't even know if it's responding. That is 67 on that one. 9, oh, it is. Okay, so it is filtering. So basically it's any true-false value or any true-false field that you have out there. That's your Boolean right there. So active 9, looks like I'm not even, maybe the active one isn't working. Who knows? Let's do false. Yeah, maybe this one doesn't look like it's in shape, but that's okay. Let's go take a look at how to create one of these. So first thing I want to do is change my domain scope. Let's just go to here. Actually, I don't want to refresh it from that screen. So let me just refresh this one. It'll change it to top. Again, one of the risks with working in multiple tabs in a domain separated environment is you might lose your domain scope. So just keep in mind that there is a default domain for each admin. So it'll revert there from time to time. Okay, so here I'm going to create a new one here. Actually, let's go to our list. All right, looks like this is our active filter. And this one, maybe I'll just show you how it was created instead of creating a new one. So again, you'll put in your name, your label, and then you have here, oh, you also have single input. Maybe we'll change this one by the insert and stay function. So yeah, someone could come back and say, you know what, I'd rather have a single input than radio buttons. Can you do that? Insert and stay. And again, adding it to the dashboard. First thing we're going to do is wait for this thing to refresh. Change this to top. And it's going to get very mechanical for you if you work in a domain separated environment with dashboards and stuff, because you're going to, you know, basically you're going to be like an athlete that has muscle memory on this stuff, and you're going to say, okay, now it's time to, you know, kind of like reverse and get back into that other domain. So you're going to be using this a lot. Okay, let's go to our Boolean. And it looks like it hasn't refreshed yet, so let's just there it is. And we'll just size it up there. I think this is the other active one. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's responding. So then, okay, so like let's say we're in this scenario and it wasn't responding. First thing to do is to check the tables, right? Make sure that this table, that's correct. Or that they're basically they have the same data. And then the second thing, because I think this is actually running off the incident SLA table here. So I'll drill into the report here. Yeah, see, this is on incident SLA. So that's probably why the active isn't running off that for whatever reason. So I'm going to go here into my history, which is a very handy feature. And let's see if we can find it there. I feel like it should, but let's see here. Maybe incident SLA extends incident, and that's why, well, all tables in hierarchy. Let's just take a look here. So we want active. We want the incident active. All right, so let's update that. Yeah, and my apologies if the video is going a little long, but I feel like, you know, there's so many things that can go wrong with dashboards, and dashboards all the way to the top of the organization. So, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you want to make sure that your data is correct and all this stuff responds correctly. Oh yeah, look, it worked there. So look, let's look. We have 83 that are true, and if we do false, boom. Okay, so yeah, we got it working. So we just troubleshot something, and we figured it out. So then we have charts. So this is going to be kind of interesting for you. There are certain charts that we can use as interactive filters. I think this is like the half donut. This is the donut. Let's go ahead and check these things out. Let's look under the hood here. So act as interactive filter, and it can follow another interactive filter. So let's just take a look at this right here. So here we have this year's task by type. Okay, great. It's all divided up or whatever. And then here we have our task created this year by priority. Now, if I just want to see, okay, let's break out the green here. See how this report adjusted down here? So on the whatever it is that I selected here, that one slice. So another feature of this is that, like, let's say you wanted to get rid of all this blue here, and you want the pie to look different for like these what if scenarios. What if we didn't do any incident communications tasks? What would it look like? Okay, we have it here. All right, so now let's have this puppy follow another one and then show one following. And because this one here is also interactive filter, isn't it? So let's just mess around with this a little bit. All right, so everything will return there. So what if I only want to look at the criticals? How does it break down over here, this year's task by type? So as you can see here, it changes a little bit, doesn't it, based on off of this one. Now the same isn't true here. You see how this one isn't reacting. So if we wanted to have that kind of synergy going on there, we would come in here and then we could also follow the other one. So it takes a little bit of time to get your head wrapped around that, but basically what we're using is just standard reporting. And that's what I love about this, is that it's a really simple solution. Just by checking a couple boxes, you can leverage one report's data to influence another one's. Okay, we took a look at that, and then you probably want to see a little bit under the hood of the report. So let's go into the report. And really there's nothing here you need to do to make it interact as an interactive filter. You're gonna create your report. So you could order, and the thing that I've noticed is that there are certain types that'll do it. So I think these three will. Maybe let's try a bar here. And let's see if we click run. All right, let's save it. And now when we go to our dashboard, now remember that's one other thing too you need to watch out for, is that if you change the type here and just click save, well, lo and behold, when we go to our dashboard, go to our charts here, that this changes also on the widget. So seeing some people here. So won't be able to use those types. But it's nice to know that there are other reports that we can use. Okay, finally, I talked about this group one in the other segment that I did, that I mentioned before. So remember that this is part 2. And basically what I did was I combined 2 filters into one to create a group filter. So again, there's nothing special here about this other than this. So we're going to see here we have all, but these aren't 2 independent selections. What these are 2 independent filters within one. So if I do has breached, I want all the ones that are false. Actually, you know what, maybe true will get us better results. All has breached and are true. And then if I want to know if they're expiring tomorrow, actually this probably wouldn't be a good combo. I probably want to know false, right? I want to know the ones that are about to expire. So has breached is true, and I guarantee it's probably going to be 0, but we'll apply them. Yeah, see, there are no records here. So I'd have to come up with a different combination. So if I do apply filters, true. But basically, it's a great way to put 2 filters in it. Now, here's the issue, though, is that your users might not like the way this thing works, because you could have a multitude of these things. And let's just take a look underneath. Oh, excuse me, I clicked the pencil. And again, in the other video, I think I mentioned it a little bit, kind of go through it. But as you can see here, we have the ability to just add child filters in here. So kind of cool. But again, though, like with the usability of it, I don't know. My experience with the users is they kind of like it a little bit simpler, so that each filter is based or they're independent from each other. So I don't know. It's all about user preference. That might be the group one, might be one that you use for more. So I believe that concludes our segment for today. If you feel like you learned something, go ahead and click like. Again, if you're an aspiring guest star, it especially helps with people who are in between jobs. They want to get their name out there, get some exposure. Feel free to contact me at that email, Jason at AAspennow. My name is Jason Miller, founder of AAspennow Solutions, and we've just unlocked the power of ServiceNow.